The best way I can describe Bart is like being in your own personal hell.
Bart is a show.
I can't even watch this without becoming livid.
I'm glad the story is being told.
I seen a dude smoking crack and a dude was watching porn next to me.
I got my bicycle in the Bart station.
It's been a couple of weeks now since we released the first part of our investigation. And ever since then, we've been asking you for your feedback. What are you seeing on Bart? And you delivered. Hundreds of you.
From phone calls to Facebook, email to Twitter, YouTube, and everything in between. So many of you reached out to keep the conversation going. One writer sent us this video of a woman banging on the doors outside a train. After a Bart employee apologized to passengers for the delay, the woman took her top off. Another viewer sent us video on Twitter showing a man going to the bathroom on the tracks. The writer asks, "Where's Bart police?" Elected officials have also weighed in, thanking us for our reporting and describing the series as worth a watch. Even Bart employees reached out to us.
I work for Bart as a train operator, so I see stuff every day.
I just watched the Derailed series, and I can't tell you how much we appreciate it as a Bart employee. It's literally like working in a prison without guards.
We mostly heard from frustrated passengers who are relieved we've taken on this story.
Thank you for the Bart Derailed series.
Thank you for doing this.
It really means a lot someone is tackling this topic and exposing all these details.
My hope is that this investigation continues and they follow up with how Bart does or doesn't improve.
Wow, these are a lot of comments.
That's Abby Fernandez.
So we're at the Coliseum station.
Our digital reporter and host of NBC Bay Area's Instagram show, Synced In.
Coming up, I'm talking to the producer of our new digital investigation, Bart Derailed, to see what the 5-part series is all about.
My producer Kevin and I spent the day with Abby, riding Bart to talk to her about the strong reactions we've been getting to this story.
How do they keep track?
And how we pieced together this whole investigation.
When exactly did you shoot this and for how long?
Kevin and I actually just started signing people up for shifts. I'd go out, Kevin would go out, other members of our investigative unit, all hours of the day, all hours of the night, to basically see what we could see.
Here's part of our team explaining things in their own words.
All right, we're rolling?
Whoa. You definitely see some stuff on Bart, for sure.
All right.
My name's Jeremy Carroll. I'm a photographer with NBC, and I rode Bart undercover.
My name's Michael Horn. I am a photographer for NBC Bay Area.
My name's Anthony. Rather not shoot it.
Hours riding Bart.
About 30 hours in all.
2 or 3 or 4 weeks.
The Bart, because there's only one Bart anyways.
Another lady behind us just started cussing out this lady that we were talking to.
So people asking you for money is harmful?
It is for me, thank you.
Yeah, wow.
Okay, yeah.
Never felt unsafe at all. Witnessed a bunch of weird things, but didn't feel unsafe.
Smoking on the train, people doing drugs on the train. A lot of drugs, actually. A lot of drugs.
One of the most interesting things that I saw actually was this well-dressed guy, looked like a businessman of some kind, didn't look suspicious at all. Then he just kind of glanced over and saw a half-eaten banana in the peel sitting on the floor underneath one of the seats. And he bent down and picked it up and looked at it really quickly and then unpeeled it and sat down and started to eat it. I thought that was pretty strange.
The amount of fare jumpers I saw was countless. One time my Bart card wasn't working. I kind of looked around and there wasn't a station agent there, so I literally hopped the fare gate. And I'll probably get in trouble for that.
So we ultimately released our 5-part investigative series on Bart. We revealed systemic safety problems that could prove dangerous for riders. 2 days later, a passenger was murdered on Bart.
And you guys were actually riding Bart that day.
We were shooting for Synced In, the episode, and we were at the Warm Springs station shooting there. We got notice of this happening. We then took a trip down, and when we got to the South Hayward station, I think that's when it hit me, where I was like, someone was just stabbed, they were killed here. It was my first time on Bart.
We're learning new information about the man accused of killing a Good Samaritan on Bart.
Police say 49-year-old Oliver Williams, who went by Tyrone Hodges, stopped Jermaine Brim from stealing another Bart passenger's shoes, a helpful move that cost Williams his life.
That Good Samaritan was a soon-to-be grandfather. His murder last month reignited calls for Bart to improve safety.
We have to do a roll call vote.
At the first board meeting following that deadly attack, Bart employees showed up to voice their fear.
There are safety issues that I was not trained to handle.
Deborah Allen sits on Bart's board of directors. She acknowledged the concerns and our investigation, asking staff how to fix the problem.
There was a recent 5-part investigative report that NBC did. It highlighted a lot of the bad behavior that we work with in Bart and that we're trying to deter.
After that meeting, Allen says Bart's general manager, Bob Powers, told her he's now confident he will be able to find the $150 million needed to install those new fare gates throughout Bart within the next 3 years.
I was actually pleased that somebody put all of this together for people to see.
We joined the director on Bart to talk about what we found.
For the everyday rider, the value is they are seeing that somebody is exposing what they live with every day.
We also spoke with her about the rise of violent crime on Bart and the growing unease among passengers.
So why haven't we seen substantial change?
I don't think there's been a strong enough will of the board.
Allen says several of her fellow directors don't see a need in hiring any more officers. That includes Bart director Janice Lee, who has opposed expanding the force and has called for disarming Bart's entire police department. We reached out to Lee, as well as every other Bart board member, for an interview. But Deborah Allen was the only one who agreed to speak with us.
And we need to get to a place where we've got an officer at every station, at every entrance.
Is that realistic, every station?
It is realistic, yeah. We have 48 stations now. Right now, we have approximately 40, sometimes 45 officers on duty in the entire system. So we don't even have enough right now to do one at every station, but that should be our goal.
What kind of difference do you think that would make?
That would be huge. If we had at least one officer in every station, we would have an immediate response to anything that goes on the train.
If you're a commuter who regularly relies on Bart, and then you hear that someone was killed on the train system that you ride every day, what is that supposed to make them feel?
They're afraid. But I think every rider is thinking about that could happen to them.
Do you always feel safe riding Bart?
No. No, I'm looking around me all the time.
You're a director for Bart, and you don't feel safe.
Well, I'm not immune from it. I'm not immune from what goes on these trains when I ride. I ride in the same car with everyone else.
For those keeping score at home, that's now a Bart director and Bart's interim police chief who've admitted riding Bart sometimes isn't safe.
Is this your train?
Remember, Bob Powers is the guy in charge of all of Bart. He's the general manager. We spoke to him back in October, just before we released the first part of our investigation.
If your own chief of police doesn't think he has enough officers to keep people safe, what does that say?
I think when he gets fully staffed, Bart will be even more responsive to being seen by the public in the system.
The police chief told us he'd like to have roughly 100 officers over the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Is that realistic?
It is, I do. We had a study that was done. It said that we needed 19 police officers for the next, I believe, 5 years. And our Bart board approved the first year, that last budget season. And so I have to go to the board every year to get my budget approved. But I'm going to put in there, 19 additional police officers, and hopefully the board will approve that.
If Bart Police does get the extra money, how will those additional officers be used? Will you feel safer? Will you actually feel safer? And what happens if that plan stalls? This is a story we are definitely going to continue to follow up on, and we want you to be a part of it. What are you seeing out here? Send us your videos, or even just record yourself explaining what you saw. You can email us, or just get our attention on social media with the hashtag #WeInvestigate. We want to hear from you, so tell us, what do you think it will take to get Bart back on track?